What if I told you that renewing your driver's license after 65 is no longer the same process it was 10 years ago? Not because someone is trying to take your keys away, not because there's some secret rule targeting seniors, but because state laws across the country are quietly evolving. And if you don't understand the updates, you could walk into the DMV expecting a 5-minute renewal and walk out with a surprise. Today, we're breaking down real, law-based changes to license renewal rules for seniors across the United States. Not rumors, not viral social media posts, not scare tactics. Actual statutes, actual Department of Motor Vehicles regulations, actual updates that are already in effect or rolling out. We're going to talk about why states have special renewal rules for older drivers, which states require in-person renewals at certain ages, vision testing requirements, medical review triggers, renewal frequency changes, real ID impacts, and what you should do before your next renewal date. If you're over 60 or have a parent over 60, this matters. Let's start with the big picture. In the United States, driver licensing is handled at the state level. There is no single federal rule that governs renewal ages. That means each state sets its own renewal frequency, testing requirements, and medical review policies. Some states treat all drivers the same until very advanced ages. Others impose earlier check-ins for seniors. Some require in-person renewal. Others allow mail or online renewals with restrictions. These rules are not new, but many states have updated them in the past few years, especially after the COVID-era extensions expired and in response to safety data. Now, here's something important. Most states do not automatically revoke a license simply because someone turns 65, 70, or even 75. What they do is increase oversight. The goal, according to state legislatures and motor vehicle agencies, is to balance two things: public road safety, personal independence. Driving is freedom. For many seniors, it's the difference between isolation and mobility. So states are careful, but they are also realistic about the fact that vision, reaction time, and certain medical conditions can change with age. Let's look at real examples. In California, drivers under 70 can typically renew by mail or online every other cycle. But once you reach age 70, renewal must be done in person. As of recent updates, the DMV requires a vision test at renewal starting at age 70, unless certain remote testing options are available. This is not new, but enforcement became stricter after pandemic extensions ended. In Florida, drivers age 80 and older must pass a vision test every time they renew. That test can be completed at the DMV or by a licensed medical professional who submits the required form. Florida law specifically requires that drivers 80 and older have a vision test before renewal, and renewal periods are generally shorter at that stage. In Illinois, drivers aged 75 and older must renew in person. Drivers aged 79 and older must take a road test at renewal. That requirement has drawn national attention in recent years because Illinois is one of the few states mandating road testing at that age. In Texas, drivers 79 and older must renew in person. Drivers 85 and older must renew every 2 years, rather than the standard longer renewal cycle. In New York, there is no mandatory road test based solely on age. However, renewal frequency and medical review processes may be triggered if a medical condition is reported. In North Carolina, drivers 66 and older are required to renew in person and take a vision test. The renewal period shortens compared to younger drivers. Pennsylvania requires drivers 65 and older to renew every 2 years instead of every 4. However, seniors can choose to renew every 2 years or 4 years if eligible. Now let's talk about renewal frequency. Younger drivers in many states renew every 6 to 8 years. But for seniors, that often drops to every 2 to 4 years. Shorter renewal cycles allow states to check vision and medical status more frequently. It's not about assuming inability, it's about periodic verification. Now let's address medical review laws. Every state has some version of a medical review process. These processes can be triggered in several ways. A doctor reports a condition. A family member reports a safety concern. A law enforcement officer files a notice after a traffic incident. A self-disclosure on a renewal form flags a condition. Conditions that may trigger review include seizure disorders, vision impairments, cognitive impairments, loss of consciousness, neurological conditions. In most states, the DMV can require a physician's evaluation form, a vision specialist's report, A road skills test. The key point is this. Medical review is not automatic at a certain age in most states. It is triggered by specific factors. However, some states are discussing expanding screening procedures, especially as populations age. Now let's talk about Real ID. Real ID enforcement has fully rolled out nationwide. That means if you want to use your driver's license to board domestic flights or enter federal facilities, it must be Real ID compliant. For seniors renewing licenses, this means bringing required documentation. Proof of identity, proof of social security number, proof of residency. Some seniors who have had the same license for decades are surprised when they must produce original documents for Real ID compliance. That's not an age rule. It applies to everyone. But seniors are disproportionately affected because they may not have updated documentation readily available. Now let's talk about online renewals. Many states allow online renewals for drivers under a certain age. For example, in Arizona, drivers under 65 may renew online if eligible. Drivers 65 and older must renew in person more frequently. In Colorado, drivers 66 and older must renew in person every other cycle. In Georgia, drivers over 64 must pass a vision test at renewal. Online renewals are often restricted for older drivers to ensure vision testing and updated photographs. Now let's talk about vision standards. Most states require minimum visual acuity, often 20/40 with or without corrective lenses. If you fail the DMV-administered vision screening, you may be referred to an eye specialist. Some states allow restricted licenses, for example, daylight-only driving or requiring corrective lenses. Vision standards are not age-specific in theory, but they are enforced more consistently at older ages due to mandatory in-person renewals. Now let's address a common misconception. There is no federal law requiring seniors to retake written or road tests at a specific age nationwide. Each state sets its own requirements. Some states require road tests at advanced ages, like Illinois at 79 plus. Others do not. Now let's look at legislative trends. As of 2025 to 2026, several states have debated adjusting senior renewal laws. Some lawmakers propose raising age thresholds due to increased life expectancy and better overall health among seniors. Others propose lowering screening ages based on accident data. But statistically, data from the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety shows that while crash rates per mile increase for drivers over 70, they are still generally lower than rates for teen drivers. That's an important context point. Many states aim to avoid blanket restrictions and instead focus on targeted review. Now let's talk about what actually causes license suspension for seniors. Most suspensions are not age-based. They result from failure to renew on time, medical disqualification, unpaid fines, insurance lapses. Missing a renewal appointment due to misunderstanding age-based in-person requirements can create complications. Now let's address what seniors should do proactively. First, check your state DMV website at least 6 months before expiration. Look up renewal age requirements, vision test requirements, road test requirements, medical form requirements. Second, schedule a vision exam proactively if you're nearing an age threshold. Third, bring required documents for Real ID compliance if applicable. Fourth, if you have a medical condition, speak with your doctor about driving clearance before renewal time. Now let's address mobility alternatives. Some states offer restricted licenses rather than full revocation. These may allow daytime driving only, driving within a certain radius, no highway driving. These are meant to preserve independence while addressing safety concerns. Now let's talk about something sensitive but important. Family intervention. In most states, family members can report concerns to the DMV confidentially. That does not automatically revoke a license. It triggers review. But it can strain relationships. That's why proactive conversations matter. Now here's the key takeaway. License renewal changes for seniors are not about punishment. They're about monitoring. They're about ensuring road safety while preserving autonomy. The biggest mistakes seniors make are assuming renewal works exactly the same as it did 10 years ago. Assuming online renewal is available at advanced ages. Waiting until the last minute to check requirements. Now let's close with clarity. There is no nationwide law forcing seniors off the road at a certain age. There is no automatic cancellation at 70 or 75. But there are structured changes. Shorter renewal cycles, mandatory vision tests, in-person requirements, occasional road tests depending on state. The laws are public. They are posted on DMV websites, but many people don't check until the renewal notice arrives. And by then, timelines can be tight. So if you are over 60 or caring for someone who is, here's the action plan. Check your state DMV site. Mark renewal dates clearly. Understand testing requirements. Prepare documents in advance. Address vision proactively. Driving represents independence, and staying informed ensures that independence continues smoothly, without surprises at the counter. Because in 2026, renewal rules haven't become harsh. They've just become more structured. And structure only becomes a problem when you don't know it's there.